Hi, I wanted to do a very quick video on what Tableau calls multi-fact relationships in Tableau Classic, and compare that to how you would build the same thing in the new Tableau semantic model inside the Salesforce platform and Tableau Next and Data Cloud. So first off, this feature originally was called uh, shared dimensions. So you can think about it really as shared tables. The point is you want to be able to build a model where you can share tables across different other tables to create joins. The reason you would want to do this, and you'll see here that I wrote about this back almost 2 years ago in the Flairless Twins blog. And it was shortly after Thomas Nan, the senior product director, and I did a presentation on it at Tableau conference. And the reason you would want to do this is to be able to get the kind of correlations that have traditionally been really hard to get out of BI systems. So things like, our sales going up because our support cases are going up. We talk about stuff like that all the time, but it's hard to do in a model because if you have one big table, kind of like the Superstore sample table is, um, with all the orders bunched together, they're like, would you get inventory or support cases into that table? You can't really do it. So they'd have to be separate tables, but you need some way to join those tables together to be able to perform analyses on them. Otherwise, all you could do is do it visually, right? So in 2024.2, there was a pretty big release that later got named multi-fact relationships. So we'll look at why that is and then how it is in the new semantic model. And they're basically the same. The way they work underneath is the same, although the user experience and the user interface is very different. So um, what I mean first off is, let's say we take this. So if our data were a little bit more atomic, or at least at the level, what I like to call is it's the level of grain or the level it naturally should sit at. That's what relationships are about in the first place, without multi-fact. So what does that mean? So what that means is, let's say Superstore would really look something more like this. Instead of one big orders table, we would have orders, right? And then, as we know, every order, so the order, you would want that to be at the level of an order, right? And an order would have line items on it. So what this one does is it breaks down line items to their own, right? And then we need a key to join those on, to create a relationship on. We're not creating a join here. We're just telling Tableau at runtime how to create the joins it needs to create, right? So there's an order primary and foreign key on both of those, right? So we have orders which have line items, and line items have products. And then, so this is going to work on product ID because there's a product ID and an order, and that does it here. What this does is it prevents us from exploding things, right? Because there are more line items than there are orders. And hopefully, if it's a successful business, there's way more line items and orders than you have products, right? So this allows to keep your data at that grain. So orders also have customers, right? Which we're going to do. So that would be a customer ID. And then orders also have addresses where they're shipped to. Again, it could, depending on your business, it could hang off customers or vice versa. Or in this case, we're keeping it simple though, and it just hangs off here. So what we have is an order gets shipped to an address, and then because you could be a customer and ship it to some completely different address. So this is a good looking data model right away with relationships, but that use case of, and this is why it was called probably in the end multi-fact relationships, is you have other fact tables, and fact tables are tables that just contain primarily measures, right? So let's say that we wanted to um, answer that question, say like, hey, what about support cases? Do support cases uh, go up? Um, the sales go down when support cases go up, kind of thing. And we would like to break that down by both product and customer, right? Because maybe it's a customer segment that's having problems, or maybe it's a product that's having great analytical kind of questions you'd like to be able to ask, right? So what we would do is we would take our support cases, right? And maybe we would put it here. This is before multi-fact relationships or shared tables. So I'll show you why they're important. So that would also work if our use case were that simple. So I could say, right now we could break down, because there's a path to see what product sold. If we highlight it here, it'll show us, that I can find anything from products this way. So I could find out support cases by products and through line items, also how many times things were ordered. So we could figure that out, right, to answer that question. But we also wanted to know by customer, remember, right? So this would be what we would have before shared tables, shared dimensions, multi-fact, whatever you want to call it. Is I would try to create this and pull it down here, and I can't. Um, and the reason why you can't is it would it would result in a cyclical relationship, potentially, where it wouldn't know where to query because there'd be different query paths to the same tables, and then you could get some really wacky results. So Tableau just didn't allow it to happen in the past. So the way they got around that was kind of ingenious, which is this idea of putting them in base tables, and then you can share between base tables. So it's important to put kind of the ones that you want to share have to not be in base tables, is the way to think about it. And that usually means, if you think about it in a data warehousing way, it's going to be your fact tables or your tables with measures that are probably going to end up over here. And I'll show you why. But now the important part is we can, this orders, because it's a base table, can share with support cases, right? So we could say support cases have customers, right? So we could go customer ID to customer fact here, and then here products also have it. So here I'm going to show again that support cases have products on them, and we have products here. So now you'll see this. I'll just add one more to make it obvious, right? So we also could have returned through support cases, but let's take support cases. So support cases are a base table. And just to show you don't have to share them, we could have support case details, right? And I'm going to go here. This would have things like sentiment on it, right? So I'm going to go case ID to case ID. But support cases also have products. Um, and so what I want here is a product ID, and on the side I want product ID. And then the last thing I will build will be also to customers. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go customer ID, customer uh, foreign key. So basically customer ID. So what you what Tableau actually does here, again, like I say, it's pretty ingenious, is now we can look at ratios of oh, I did support cases twice. That was funny. What I meant to do, my bad, sorry, is I meant to do returns, right? And then returns also customers return products. We'll bring this back up. But so what we're going to do is customers return products and well, products, right? I already gave it away, and there's products. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do product to product. My bad. That's why you have to pay attention, even if we had AI doing this, right? So there it is. And again, I could still hide my support case detail down here, case ID to case ID. So um, and this is interesting. And of course, on any one of these, I can define down here under performance options. By default, they're many to many, or some to many. If you know for sure, right? We couldn't have the details on this. A support case could have continuous details recorded on it in this model. So we would want to say there's only one on this side, but two on this side. Don't worry about it. We're not going to worry about that for now. I only want to point it out because it's in both UIs. Um, okay, so this, let's see how this works. So if I wanted to know, again, the question I started with is how many orders do we have, um, relative to support cases? And then we might want to break it down by products or customers. So you'll see here we can get both products and customers from orders, and we can get it from support cases. In fact, we could even figure out also, when they're upset, do they not only sell less, but do they return more? We could even get that, right? And what you'll notice is that a couple of things. One, the tables that are shared amongst multiple base tables actually have a slightly thicker line. I wish the line were thicker, but you'll see that products and customers have a slightly thicker line here. But the other kind of neat thing about it is what happens is Tableau will query along each one of these paths. That's how it doesn't get into that circular relationship, right? Because what it does is it queries along each path or each node of this tree. You can think of these each as trees with shared branches, right? And you can even collapse them here to see what it looks like, right? So we see support case details here. Let's collapse both of these, are only available to support cases. Maybe that's a little clearer, right? But what basically happens if we want to know how many support cases there were to orders, we would query this. to get the aggregate of support cases, and then we would get the aggregate of the number of orders. And then what we would do with the result of that is we would say, if you want to know by customer, then Tableau would break each one down by customer and in memory stitch them together to give you that relationship without, that answer and the customer breakdown of that ratio without having any fear of a circular relationship, which is a big thing, right? So the reason it does that is each one of those queries is independent and then gets stitched together to avoid the circular relationship. So kind of a brilliant, if you're a person that gets how queries works, kind of a brilliant way to go about this. And the great thing about this is at runtime, you can answer all kinds of questions now of the correlation between things across these fact tables. And you do it through this thing by being able to share these tables because the way Tableau did it. So this is Tableau Classic. So um, it's the UX UI is very different in Tableau Semantics, but it's the same thing, right? The logic underneath it is the same, and they also had to stop, of course, this chance of these circular, queries happening, so that that the engine wouldn't be able to figure out how to give you a right answer. Right. So it needs to have a path through the data to be able to work. So it has to know when a table is shared, if you will, because it then knows how to do it. So the way Tableau does it in Classic is you put in base tables, and only base tables can share other tables. So that's the way that works. So in uh, Next is kind of the UX is a bit the opposite. I'll show you what I mean. So this is we're going to create in the Salesforce platform now. So this is kind of a data cloud feature on its own that's also part of Tableau Next. But you can get it just with data cloud. Is a semantic model. So for a while they were called Tableau semantic models, but I think they're just called semantic models now. In any case, that's what the UX says. So I can bring one in from Tableau. Interestingly, if I publish that other one, I could bring it into Tableau Next, which is kind of cool. That's a new feature. Or it might be an upcoming feature. So I'm in uh, a beta build here. But the key is I'm going to do what you could do today is the more important thing, which is we're going to start and create a brand new model like we just created that model, so I can show you. So. Um, Without getting too much into data cloud, if you don't know what data cloud is it has three types of objects. Calculated insights are kind of like aggregate tables that you can create. Data model objects are objects that are like half modeled. So you build a bunch of metadata on them and then bring those in. That makes it building the semantic model a little easier because they have some information that can be ingested. But data like objects are effectively just tables, like they're tables to Tableau. So what I did was I created, I already brought them in. So I brought those CSVs in, each as their own table, where a table is a DLO, so or a data lake object. So if I jump around, so same thing, we're going to select the exact same one. Remember, we had addresses and we had customers, right? By the way, you would always need to stitch these things together by date because you want to break them date by date too. So you'd want to share date that they could all hang off of. But I'm just going to skip that for expediency. Did I bring an inventory? I didn't bring an inventory, but I brought in line items and orders and products are key and returns are key and support cases are key and support case details are key. If I forget any, I can add them anyway. But what I kind of like about this, to be honest, it's very different right away, is like in Tableau, I'm going to call this um, our shared tables, Superstore, whatever. You'd rather give it a good name and a good description um, for the agents that are going to work against this. But for now, I'm going to skip that. But one of the features I kind of like is it's going to throw all these tables or DLOs on my canvas right away, and then I can rearrange them. The other thing I thought about doing, but I'm going to skip, is that you can do these relationship suggestions, and it might build these relationships for me. If you have primary and foreign keys in your database, Tableau Classic will also do this effective 25.3. So they both kind of also have this feature, but I should save something for another video. So you'll see there's all our tables. We could organize them a bit. This is more of a free-form canvas, interestingly. So if you remember, if we flip back here, what do we have? We had orders over returns over support cases. We could make it look not exactly the same. It's definitely a bit different, but what order did I have them again? We had returns. I can move addresses kind of the way for now. I can put orders here. I'm going to put support cases here, and then support case details are down here. And I kind of had addresses up here somewhere and customers here. And we know, well, this only goes to um, line items only go to orders, and then we know products go to all three of these tables. Something like this, again, you can organize them how you want to do it. So we can start building these out. So I'm going to go again. I could start with this, which might be smart, but for now, I'm just going to go like this. And, we could do this kind of thing, right? But what you actually do is you just click this instead and you say which one you want to do. So I'll start with support case details, just do the simple one. What we would do is this is, if you remember, it's case ID to case ID. So we're going to add that and we're going to apply that. Um, and support cases also have those. I just want to make the simple ones first, right? Orders go to line items. This shows that it thinks it could figure it out, but again, I'm not gonna do that. So it did though. See, order ID to order ID, kind of slick, huh? Figured that one out. I should have taken it. If I would have taken it, I could have saved myself time. Order ID, and then oh, sorry. It already figured it out. So I just had to hit apply. My bad. You'll notice the other thing I should be doing on these is right now the cardinality type's messed up. Again, I should go again, like we said, any one order could have multiple line items, but each line item should only be to one order. So we could do that. Again, for expediency, I'm going to leave that part out because this is about relationships. But to know that's there, right? And then um, addresses only went to orders, right? So we could come back to orders, wrong place. We could come back to orders and the plus sign, um, and sorry, addresses, I mean. So I'm going to click on that little thing. Let's see if I got it right. It didn't. I'm going to go address ID. That's a little weird how it did that. Maybe that would have been right. Address PK. I'm going to update that and do this. Okay, now, what we should really do first, right? This is where it gets a little bit. I'm going to warn you that what will happen here is I could start connecting to, say, products, and it would let me connect each one of these tables to products. And then I could connect one of them to customers. But at some point, as I go to connect to customers, what would happen is I'm going to get that same, I could get that same cyclical error, or I might even be more frustrated and I can't connect, right? So I would say the thing that makes this the easiest on you is we know ahead of time that we're going to share these tables. And I told you it's kind of backwards. It's the same but backwards, if that makes sense. In that in Tableau, you say which ones you want to share by not making them base tables. In this case, you say which ones you want to have shared by explicitly calling them shared tables. So again, in Tableau Classic, because these are in a base table position, they're allowed to share other tables. In Next, it's the or semantics on the Salesforce platform. It's the opposite. So what you do is you come here and you say, okay, I'm allowed to share this table with multiple ones. Again, so I don't get into those cyclical relationships, but otherwise, underneath the heuristics are going to be the same. The heuristics are rules that determine how it works. So now that they're both shared, I could come to orders and go, well, orders have, it thinks it can get customers automatically. It has products for some reason. I don't know why I can't get it, but it's okay. Could be my naming. So I'm going to go. So orders have, oh no, they don't. My bad. Sorry. It's line items. That's why, right? Line items have products. So good catch. So line items have products. What we have is product ID and product ID, right? Primary key, foreign key relationship. So that's going to work when I apply it. This field with a validated relationship could not be. Um, Interesting. Maybe because I'm using a beta, but let's go. Um, but no, because I want line items to products. Why? Yeah, I'm not sure why it's giving me that right now. It hasn't, but certainly I can go returns, right? So customers do returns, right? We're going to look at what that is. It's going to be customer ID to customer key. I'm going to do that and apply. Um, and then I'm going to say support cases can also go to customers, right? And I'm going to come here and I'm going to go customer ID to customer ID and then apply that. And then orders also have customers. So I can keep going and keep adding customers um, because I said it was a shared table is the important part, right? So that, whoops, wrong one. Uh, so I can update that and do that. And then support cases also have products because products are shared, right? So I can come here and you'll notice because every other one, this is important because every other one's not shared and I'm already connected to customers. It's only going to let me connect. Well, it is no connection, so I could connect, but also because it's shared, right? So I'm going to come here and go product ID to product primary key. My naming convention behind this was pretty terrible, so excuse that. But now I could also take returns and also make those to products and only products, remember, because products are shared and um, I'm already connected to, did I get that right? No. I'm going to go product ID to, whoops, product ID to product ID and apply. So this is the kind of way I would build that model out. Again, this should connect to there. I don't know why it doesn't like it. Um, Maybe it's going to take it this time. Could be me. You could put in the comments below. Maybe I did something that like down there. It's possible. I'm getting used to this new UI as well. But there you go. So this is the exact same model as this model, just the difference is, and this one, like I mentioned, it's this being in a base table. Again, this would be base table. It's the base table that determines what can be shared with it. And the other one, you explicitly say what the shared ones are. You don't say what the base tables are. So, but underneath this model and that model, and we could test it in another video. If we took one into the other product, we should get the same answers on everything because now they're the same semantic models in the two different products. So thanks for hanging with me with my little glitch there, and hope you found this video useful. Definitely comment and let me know.